Hope you're all enjoying the show. I'm just going to give you a quick presentation this afternoon. 5 reasons why you might want to come by the drag and drop stand this afternoon. Well, there's actually more than 5 you might want to come and see, but I'll give you 5 of the best. Firstly, you might want to come by and see what you've been missing, or may have been missing in drag and drop over the past year or so since I was last year.
So you can turn it back on your wheels. You can talk to one of them. Yes, it was
Thank you. I did start by knowing that, and then I got it.
Yeah,
Thank you, Jim. So over the last few issues, we've had things like, what have we been doing? We've been doing compact keyboards, these gaming keyboards that you may find useful for your RISC OS computing or gaming needs. You may not, but what are they? Do you want 61 or 62 keys and something like that? When you get into it, you find out they're a bit more complicated than you think. Then we've got an 8-bit column for BBC computers and Acorn electrons. Over the last year, in that column, there's someone been rewriting a BBC game called Escape from Dewhurst Alpha to make it run natively on RISC OS. So maybe then the emulators around like that. What else have we been having? We've got this thing called TeX, which you may have heard of. TeX is a mathematical typesetting language that is around the computing world, not just in RISC OS, but all around it. Lets you typeset complicated scientific maths and stuff like that. So have a look at how do you use it on RISC OS and tutorials and things like that. Another thing that we've had is how to use the RISC OS font system to create, well, in the magazine that's at the bottom left there, with the big letters in sort of laid on top of each other. That was all done with the RISC OS outline fonts. A bit of fun doing that. What else? App Basic. It's an integrated desktop development app. An app itself that allows you to create other apps. And also in drag and drop, we always have, or generally always have, a typing application, usually BBC Basic, with listings and usually no more than 2 or 3 pages, if that, of listings to type in. So that's reason number 1 why you want to swing by the drag and drop stand to get your latest issue. The one out today is volume 15, issue 1, and there's special show prices, or if you want, you can just go to the website and download, sample and download, and have a look at lots of other goodies on sale there. So what I'm going to do now is have a quick tour through the latest edition of Drag and Drop. Which is, it's on the screen already, I'll just make it a bit bigger. So, I'll just have a quick run through the first few pages. It covers there. We've got the RISC OS London Show today, and things like the content. I'll just whiz through that. News and stuff, which I'll come back to one of those things in the news section later. Then there's always a beginner's section, so if you're not really sure of RISC OS and not really sure about the 3-button mouse and you're lost as to what to do, there's a few hints and tips there. And then there's our WIB library. These are just basic routines that you need for applications that you type in from drag and drop. So the first thing that may be of interest in this edition of Drag and Drop is called Pico BBC Basic, which is basically a version of BBC basic that runs on this tiny computer or tiny board called the Raspberry Pi code. So what someone's done there is to tell you how to get it all set up with RISC OS and how to get some programs running on it, which is nice because it's all done through RISC OS as opposed to anything else. So that may be interesting to you. Next article is, well, I'm actually quite proud of this because I wrote this article. It's something about taking the monospace font that's called Corpus or Courier or whatever it is outside, the typewriter font basically, making it into a version that you might have seen years ago when in the old dot matrix printers, where the characters actually take up the space they need to, as opposed to every character taking up the same width. Monospace people who know that. So that's just a quick an article about how to do that with various RISC OS utilities and applications and stuff. A bit of fun with that. RISC Coffee, that's usually usually an article that or section of drag and drop where there's quick things, quick hints and tips and stuff like that. And this time there's a hint there about using impression desktop publishing for those people that use impression or impression style to get coloured box headings. Then we come on to the guide to C programming, if you maybe into programming in C, and I've heard that actually getting it set up on RISC OS is a much challenge is learning C. So there's actually the second part of the series. I think the first part was an issue or two back. So all of that is just again having a bit of fun and getting some results on the screen. Like that one just plots some coloured discs on the screen. So that's that. And this one, this is an example of an application that we usually have. Well, as I said before, we generally always have an application for typing in RISC OS, and this one is something called sprinkles, which are like those things you spread on the top of the cakes and coloured strands that go on the icing. And I'll give you a demonstration of how this works. So there's the control window there for this thing, and then what you can do is you can drag that icon over there to get some sort of sprinkles, but you can do all sorts of things like if I wanted some longer strands, 15 millimeters, you can change the sort of randomness of the orientation of the sprinkles and how you want. 250 and then colored ones. And then drag that open, and then I've got sort of longer strands even, and play around with the size and the height. Whatever you want to do. So that's just a small application to type in. As I say, usually we're only having maybe 2 or 3 pages of that. And something very important I forgot to mention is that if you don't want to type in the applications, you can get them already typed in. There's a version of the magazine that comes with a cover zip and an archive of files and stuff to run on your Raspberry Pi or whatever resource machine you're using. Then lastly, I think it's the last article in this one. Somebody's written about ChatGPT, which for better or worse we can't get away from these days. So somebody's looking at, well, actually how can we make it work for us? How useful is it for RISC OS users, or not? I think they found it is fairly useful sometimes. So that's well, that's another reason why you might want to come by drag and drop. And is that reason number 2 or 3? If it wasn't, this is reason 3. You can come by and get all the drag and drops up to the issue out today on a memory stick like that. That's 59 issues. Or if you have one of these before and you're missing a few issues, just come along and check which ones you may have been missing, and we can top you up. And very importantly, I suppose, if you don't want to talk to anyone, you can welcome to come by the stand and have a look at this slideshow is playing on the projector there, so you can just stand and watch, and then go to the website in your own time, whatever you want. That's perfectly okay. That's your thing. So that. Yeah, everything that's on the stand today is available to sample and buy on the website, which, well, today you'll get it at the special show prices. If you go to the website, you'll just get the prices, so up to you. Right, now I should get the rest of ChatGPT. Now I'm going to come on to, that's the game. Some of you were asking earlier on what's the big reveal of the show today, as far as the drag and drop is concerned. Where I get to it's this thing. Some of you might have seen this before, a collection of remastered BBC micro books, BBC Electron books. Well, it's now up to 100, and we can still fit it on a CD-ROM, if you like CD-ROMs. There's USB versions available too. I know there's a few BBC micro Electron users around, so that might be something for them. But I suppose the question you need to ask is, well, what relevance is it to RISC OS? Well, most of the programs in these books were done in BBC Basic, and they'll still run on modern RISC OS software quite happily. Sometimes even, well, actually always much faster than you could ever hope for on the BBC back in the day. So that's one reason why it's of interest. And the other one is that a lot of the books, or remastered books, shall I say, were done on impression style, the DTP application on RISC OS. So if you are an impression user and you fancy getting tips on how to lay things out or do various tricks and things of putting stuff on the page, you could do no worse than have a rummage through all the impression files on the collection here just to find out how it's done. So that's on the website too. Again, you can come by the stand if you want to find out more. There's a top-up option for people that might have bought a collection before and don't really fancy buying a completely new edition. You can come and get the 20 extra books that have been added since. And if you want to find out exactly what books are on this collection, on this CD or USB, then there's a list which I haven't got with me at the moment, but you could take away just a list. So that's the CD-ROM, and that's the USB version. So lastly, and if you need if you want to read these books or drag and drop on your phone, on your smartphone, then I haven't got mine with me here, but if you buy a USB thing today, you can have a free one of these wee things, which is an adapter that you plug one into your phone, the USB stick into it rather, and you can sit and read your drag and drop on your phone or tablet or whatever. So I think I'm up to reason 4 why you might want to come to the drag and drop stand today. And last but not least is that we've got books on sale. Most of them unfortunately are out of print at the moment, but they can be put on back order. Most of them are out of print apart from this one. The Giant Book of Applications, which is listings for start to type in this kind of drag and drop. And the good news about that is that you can get the programs, you don't have to type in the programs, although that's always a fun way to learn by inputting stuff. But if you don't want to type in, you can now download them for free. Previously there was a wee charge for getting the programs ready to run, but it's now completely free. Well, the book isn't, but the download is. So there's a few copies left of this that you can buy and take away today if you want. I think that's. Yeah, I think that's. Hopefully, you can get you to come by and say hello. As I say, if you don't want to, then just go and have a look at the website. So, thank you very much.